Heart of gold. My parents decided to send me to my uncle's place. For a while, they felt this would help to discipline me. Study seriously. I've placed high hopes on you. My child, warned father as I was leaving. Don't bother your aunt and don't play with the bad boys there, was mother's parting advice. At the new place I felt lonely. For a few days after returning from school, I stayed at home and spent the time doing homework and revising lessons. Soon I made friends. All of them were fond of playing games. We went to school together and came back in a group. The temple priest gave me sweets every Tuesday. The carpenter made a gully danda asterisk for me. The blacksmith gladly sharpened my kirpi asterisk asterisk, but I liked Fakira, the chowkidar, asterisk 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 most of all. He loved children. We all enjoyed his jokes. His voice was husky, and he had a shrill laugh. One evening, I came home late. "Where have you been all day?" asked Aunt sternly. "I went with Shankara to his fields," I replied meekly. "You're in our charge. I won't allow you to neglect your studies," she warned. I opened my satchel and started studying. "If you do this again, I'll have to tell Chachu." "Chaudhary," she continued. I looked at her, but did not ask who Chachu Chaudhary was. Hankara on the way to school the next morning. "Chachu Chaudhary?" I was surprised to hear the same name again. "Who is he?" I asked. "Look there." He pointed towards a nearby field. I craned my neck. A big, able-bodied man was fighting with a bull. He was pushing the strong animal. On the way back, I asked Shankara about Chachu. "Chachu has wild red eyes and a wide jaw," said Shankara. Dalapu confirmed Shankara's description of Chachu by imitating his waddling gait, while Amity added, "Chachu is 6 feet 3 inches tall and quite fat. The strongest and most feed person in our village," said Renu. "No, not only in our village, but in the whole area. Right up to the canal. No one dare oppose him." To make his point, Shankara emphasized every word. As we approached the house, I saw Aunt standing at the door. I ran home without even saying goodbye to my friends. I had some milk and quickly sat down to do my homework. But Chachu remained in my mind all the time. "Chachu is the most feared person in our village." I repeated the words too. At night I asked Uncle about Chachu. "He is a brave man with a lion's heart," said Uncle. "He killed 3 dacoits who had come to loot our village once." "He killed them alone?" I asked, surprised. "Yes. No dacoit has ever dared to come anywhere near our village after that," Uncle said proudly. "Then he must have got a big prize for bravery." "Would you like to meet Chachu?" asked Uncle abruptly. "No, no, I'm afraid of him. I don't want to see him," I said, frightened. Uncle laughed, but Aunt suppressed her smile. I also came to know that the village Sarala was popularly known as Kuni Sarala because of the murders that had taken place there. For a while, I felt ashamed of studying in a village with such a nickname. One day, while returning from school, we saw a man digging a grave. That was the first time I was seeing a grave. It was a deep, dark pit. At noon, one Sunday, when everybody was indoors, I decided to dig the ground in front of our house. "What are you doing, dear?" I heard a throaty voice. "Digging a grave," I replied without looking up. I was sure it was Fakira. For whom is this grave? For your ghost, Fakira. But I'm too big for this small grave. I'll cut you into pieces and— A resonant laughter followed. I turned. It was Chachu. I couldn't find my voice. Why are you upset, dear? He asked affectionately. I ran for shelter, leaving my Kirpi and Chapel's asterisk behind. I didn't enter the house, for I was afraid Chachu would come in. Why are you running away from me? I'm Chachu. Your own Chachu, he spoke loudly. I heard something more which I could not understand. For 3 hours I hid behind a bush. The butterflies didn't interest me. It appeared they spied on me and would report back to Chachu about his grave digger. After this incident, I avoided Chachu as much as possible. One rainy morning, 5 of us classmates were wading happily through ankle-deep water. It was Chachu who came to our help by warning us of a nulla asterisk ahead. Chachu is really great, said Dalapu. I could only nod my head. One evening, when we were playing on a sand mound, Dalapu boasted, I'll catch hold of Chachu's neck when I grow stronger. But he has no neck, retorted Amidi. All of them laughed, but I did not. Chachu's head is like a truck's headlight, said Rinu. There was another ripple of laughter. Here comes Chachu, cried Shankara. I broke into a cold sweat, but thank God, it was only a joke. My heart was still pounding. I stood first in my class in the first quarterly test. Uncle patted me on the back. Aunt gave me a piece of sweet bread. My trions demanded a treat. Chachu, too, came to congratulate me. On seeing him, I shut myself in the bathroom, but I could hear him talking to Uncle and Aunt. Where's our little nephew? Our good nephew? Asked Chachu. He must be playing outside, said Uncle. I'll give him a prize if he stands first in his final examination, announced Chachu. I felt proud and decided to step out. But when I saw Chachu at a distance, I beat a hasty retreat. One afternoon, I was watching a juggler's show. Is my grave ready, Pashu? A voice asked from behind. Without looking back, I ran from the scene. I was sure Chachu would one day catch hold of me and punish me. In the half-yearly test, too, I stood first in spite of the fact that I deliberately left 2 questions in one paper unanswered. Once again, my friends and others flocked to our house to congratulate me. My parents, too, sent me a letter of congratulation. Thank heavens, Chachu didn't come this time. That night, Uncle told me, Chachu is quite generous to the poor. Does he really help them? I asked. Yes, said Uncle. Also, he loves Childian. I was stunned. Then why does he frighten us? I asked. Maybe for the fun of it. Does Chachu beat those who don't study? Uncle smiled, shaking his head, but Aunt hastened to say, Chachu never spares those who do not obey their elders. Examinations over, I went back to my parents. I knew I would have to discontinue my studies as there was no high school in our village. Moreover, my father had a limited income. I did not want to return to Kuni Sarala because of Chachu. Deep in my heart, I did have a sneaking regard for him. I cursed myself for being so afraid of him. The results were out. Pashu, you have broken the school record. You got more than 80%. Uncle himself brought us the good news. Was thrilled. But when he said, Chachu has not forgotten his promise. I turned pale. I'm not going to the village just for the sake of receiving from Chachu a gift of a couple of notebooks and pencils, I said curtly but firmly. Chachu won't eat you, said Uncle. A present is a present, however small, said Father. Mother intervened. Pashu won't go now. He'll go there after some time with me. I know Chachu loves children. The next week, a message came from Sarala. Chachu is ill. He wants to see Pashu. I thought it was only an excuse. I didn't go, but I thought of Chachu and prayed for his recovery. 3 days later, another person came from Sarala. Chachu Chaudhary has sent this so that Pashu can pursue his studies, said the messenger, thrusting a few currency notes into my hands. Why has he sent money? Isn't he well? These questions raced through my mind as my eyes welled up with tears. How's my Chachu? I'll go to him. I'm not afraid of him, I cried, quite overwhelmed by now. Mother counted the money. 500 rupees. Chachu has no child of his own and feels lonely, said the man from the village. I'll go there. I'll study there, I said, tears pouring down my cheeks.